Welcome to Forever Exile, the Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin, aka Tagz.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
And Brittleknee.
Brittleknee, episode 91.
91.
Yeah, that was good. See, It worked.
I did my best.
Thanks for joining us again.
Of course, happy to be here. Sorry, I was just,
It's Final Fantasy, isn't it?
No, I was recovering from the panic of being put on the spot
Like,
and
have to
not
say
having a
right.
proper way to say my name all cool like for a podcast.
It was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
Big shout out to all of our Patreons for supporting the podcast. You guys are awesome. If you're curious what our Patreon is, it gets you access to After Dark, which is a podcast after the podcast where we just talk about more stuff and things. Information down below.
We do more podcasting.
We do.
It's
Double the podcast.
Oh.
Double the awesome.
Oh.
Anyway, that's it.
I didn't have anything for that.
BK, how was your week? Non-PoE. I mean, you got Final Fantasy. I know that's probably the other part of it, but...
We had a tropical storm come through after it's rained for the last 2 weeks, so it's very wet here right now.
Oh, yeah.
What's
Is
a
it
tropical
gone?
storm? You say after it rained.
So we
What does
had
that mean?
2 weeks of rain, and then the tropical storm came through. It was, I guess, it started off as that Hurricane Elsa, but after going over Cuba and a couple others, it got downgraded to a tropical storm. So it wasn't anything serious. Like, you don't change your plans or anything for a tropical storm. You're just like, shit, it's gonna rain a lot more today than usual, and that's it.
Is it still hot when it rains?
Yeah, it's Florida. It doesn't ever stop being hot. It just gets wet and hot instead of just awful. And even then, the humidity is just pretty generally gross out there.
How hot is it right now?
It is, well, I don't know in non-freedom units, but it's 80 degrees outside. And it's 11 o'clock at night.
Let me Google this.
80 degrees. That's got to be like
WTF
20.
is 80F in English.
We had temperatures like a week ago that were 116 degrees Fahrenheit in the
Jeez.
American numbers.
How did you survive?
It was disgusting. It was actually disgusting. We were setting records, which is not acceptable for where we live.
26 degrees in English. That's pretty crazy.
In English?
26?
Yeah.
in the real one. 26
in the real
in-
measurements.
That's right.
That's probably close to
Yeah.
what it is here right now. I feel like it's
Well,
probably
what
around
is it?
that.
Now I gotta check.
I feel like it's
Look at this.
around 26 degrees, but
And
we're
are
also
you-
3 hours earlier.
Enhance. Yeah, it's 26 degrees. Oh,
Sames.
Good.
But
Seems
but we're
news.
3 hours. But we're 3 hours.
she
It's
wins.
actually been warm here. We've had a weird heat wave.
they almost
And
postponed the Stanley Cup Finals that was in Tampa.
Because of the storm?
Yeah. But then
Really?
they didn't.
Yeah,
they
it's
won,
not a big
so-
deal.
Conspiracy.
Is hockey done? Is NHL done?
This time.
Oh.
Canadians
Montreal?
lost. We
Oh,
suck.
of
Yeah.
course.
It was a mismatch, man. We didn't have a chance. BK, do you care about hockey?
I watched a bit.
Yeah. Woo.
That counts.
So,
Yeah, there's
Go Lightning.
Alright,
there's
so-
a team here that got discontinued. I don't know when, but I grew up going to games, and then I guess
Nice.
our little hockey
Wasn't
team
it
just
Panthers?
went. No, I don't remember anymore. I just remember getting super excited anytime they'd fight my brothers, and I'd be like, "Yeah!"
that's
Little
That's
kids
awesome.
out for blood. Red eyes, red eyes. We were
It's
savages.
true. It was like the best part of the early hockey was the fights and the big hits.
Yeah, we had this little
Now they're all
short guy that
sissies.
would just fight. He was mean. He ended up on some sports 20 worst fights. That trash TV channel. I don't remember what it was called. But we had this one channel here that it was just 20 of whatever. It was like clickbait before clickbait was a thing. And one of the fights this guy got in ended up on one of those. And I was proud about it. That's the problem. I was like,
That's
it's our
awesome.
guy.
That's awesome.
That's our guy.
That's sweet.
Hang on. Can you timestamp this?
Timestamp it. What the fuck?
That's what
Timestamp.
that's the thing. That's what you do. That's what it's
I gotta
called.
keep
That's
a
what
notepad?
people who
How
know.
about you write it down then if you want me to keep track
No,
of
you have a
timestamps?
button, I'm sure,
part I'm
and it
putting
hits
back
the
in.
thing.
You can
I'm
hear us
sure you have
bigger.
a button and it just
This is
marks
what happens
it. And
with
then
Tyler.
when you're
A
doing
timestamp,
stuff,
please.
Timestamp.
Shut
Fix
up. What's the
this
term?
part.
Excuse me.
What's the part? What do you call it? Is a timestamp a thing? It's a thing.
Timestamp's fair, but write it down yourself. I don't keep track of it.
I'm not. Hey, Josh, here's my list
You can
of
send it to me
things I
afterwards.
want you to look
5
at.
minutes, 26
once we're
seconds.
finished. Yeah.
I would do
Get
it
outta
for you.
here. Shut your face.
Anyway, besides Tropical Storm, what else?
My garden is flooded to shit because of all this rain. I don't know what to do. It's too wet outside and it won't get sunny. And like all of my little like herb beds that I've been planting, like basil and oregano and like rosemary and all the good stuff in, it's like they're completely flooded out. So
That sucks. Is it all herbs?
yeah, for the most part. I also have like tomato and pepper plants and stuff like that too. But the stuff that's in the bigger beds is fine.
So you like to make really spicy food even though it's always really uncomfortably hot.
No, it's not necessarily. Not all peppers are spicy. You know, like there's bell peppers, which are lame as hell
yeah.
as far as spicy is concerned.
You can probably grow them really
But they're
nice
good.
though there.
Yeah, they're tasty.
Takes forever here.
Does it?
It's not hot. Yeah, it's not hot.
It doesn't take very long at all. I just go down to the grocery store.
Yeah.
They're ready. Always.
Oh, sorry about your garden. That sucks. It's a lot of work.
It's okay.
Is it normal? Like, is that just sort of a Florida summer?
I
Gonna have some big storms.
Yeah, it was just so dry last summer by comparison that I just like didn't really set up the herb beds properly, because you're supposed to put like a layer of rocks in the bottom that help kind of like create space for water in the bottom of it. And I didn't, because it's always been so dry. I figured I'd be watering them every day anyways, and so I just need to like punch holes in the bottom of it and hope it'll dry out fast enough that the plants don't get root rot.
And you've been playing Final Fantasy a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, I jumped on that when I got my second vaccine dose, because I knew I was going to feel like butts for a few days. So I was like, you know what? Why not? MMO, brain off, just, chill. And it's actually been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
Nice.
It's been a really long time since I've played anything from the Final Fantasy. I think the last Final Fantasy game I played was 10, like when it was out on PS2. So it was really, really neat to kind of step back into the genre again.
For sure. It's probably changed a lot. Did you
way different.
intentionally not go back to WoW?
This time around for 9.1, the raid group that I was raiding with, they decided like enough people didn't come back that they're not gonna raid. But some folks I used to raid with a long time ago start running their alt groups like 2 or 3 weeks in. So I'll go eventually. I'm just not right now. Which is fine, because again, playing Final Fantasy, so I don't care.
And you got your second shot and everything, you just had a couple crappy days and then everything was good, or what?
Yeah.
What's restriction levels and stuff right now where you are? Is there any?
I mean, I'm still not going outside because like fuck actually interacting with people, but
Right.
most of the places still have mask mandates, because I think despite all the efforts and all the different availability that is actually here in the States, like there's still like a pretty low vaccination rate.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
like statewide or
no, nationwide.
across the
Like
States?
I think there was some sort of goal that was set for X number percentage of the population to be vaccinated by like July, and it didn't happen.
Do you know what that percentage was?
Not off the top of my head, but
Because that
Wow.
Lightning game, that Tampa Bay Lightning game was packed.
yep.
Well, that was even early on. I remember seeing one of the Vegas games and I was like, oh my God, there's human beings so close.
Yeah.
Do you have municipal rules that are different from state rules? Or is it pretty much state?
I think most of this sort of stuff gets regulated on a state by state basis, just because we have by comparison, a more weaker federal system with more states' rights rather than overall.
The states right now have a 55% have at least one dose and 48% are fully vaccinated.
Yeah. I think they wanted it to be 60 or something like that and didn't hit it. But I don't know for sure.
You have more fully vaccinated than us.
Yeah, I mean, we have more of the doses too, which is the reason why it's sort of so frustrating and so aggravating in some ways.
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, you guys were getting the second dose even before well, I think you guys were getting yours even before I got my first one.
Yep.
We have a 70% have the first one done.
Yeah.
But we're quite a bit behind on that, 2-month time between the first and the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just a customer. We don't have our own. So we're waiting for availability for certain ones, and we had to do some research for mixing and matching and stuff.
The part that chaps my ass is that there's countries that have handled this so well, and they don't have any doses at all. Like there's several European countries that are just now starting, like you can finally get your appointment for the first dose, and it's like in a month and a half. And they've done like
crazy.
all the crazy lockdowns and done everything right, and like they have to wait so long for that, and that just sort of makes me scratch my head. I feel like we should reward the people that actually are doing their fucking job, but maybe that's just me.
I heard New Zealand, and I didn't look into this. I just heard it from somebody, so it could be completely off. But I heard New Zealand's having a rough time. Like they had a really good go for a long time, but now they're really scraping for vaccines. But I could have heard incorrectly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they have any active cases there at all anyways, so.
I didn't know that AstraZeneca was not in the States. And I was talking to my brother who's going to California in October, I think, end of September, October. And when he was looking into traveling down to the States, they don't accept AstraZeneca as a legitimate vaccine. And you have to show that you've had both vaccines and it's been at least 2 weeks from the second one in order to travel into the States.
That's dumb as hell.
And one of the versions that was out here in Canada is not counted as a valid vaccine. We
Wonder
didn't have
how
that
long
one
that'll
myself,
last
but
for.
That's so stupid.
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
So like, what is he gonna go do? Like, go get a second dose? Like,
You
no,
can't get anything else. I mean,
can't.
we got Pfizer anyway, but yeah, it's interesting
by
for the people
chance.
who had that.
Yeah, it's
we didn't get a
bullshit.
choice.
We had the option early. We could have gone into pharmacies and gotten it. We just were too young for the age that they wanted people to do it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But crazy. How was your week, Ty?
I had a good week. Last couple of days, just from concussion standpoint and all the crazy stuff it does too. I've had a pretty bottom of the barrel couple days, but that's run of the mill. Like crazy mood swings, crying for no reason, mad for no reason, but doing okay. Had like my neck. I have a really bad neck along with my concussion stuff. Maybe they're intertwined, who knows? But this past 2 days, it was like picture two pencils, sharpened pencils, and they're touching tips in a totally not sexual way. They're touching tips and they're balancing. They're kind of like standing one on each other, and then
I just want people to know that you're actually doing this on camera.
Yeah,
so
they're missing the
yes, I
show. It's really
I
unfortunate.
am. So you got two
Go ahead.
pencils.
We see
right?
it, two tips.
One standing on its eraser vertically. The other one has like they're balancing on each other.
Are they number
Right,
2
trying to make a
pencils,
tower.
or are they the softer lead types?
They're the ones that are harder to balance.
What
Whichever
color
one
are
that
they?
is.
I'm not being immersed enough in this
Yeah, your fingers
description.
aren't working here.
Let's go. One's like a green pencil
different.
from elementary school, and one's
Okay.
a normal pencil that you would find on the street. But
Okay.
they're both brand new and newly sharpened. So they're
Ooh.
trying to balance, making a tower, right, standing on each other. Impossible to do. And then you have your head on top of that. That's what my neck feels like. That's how fragile and like crazy it's been for me. So that was the whole point of that. Thank you both. But
We're here for you, Tyler.
actually, I should start off my week. Our buddy Ryan, awesome guy, listens to our show. He does not care about PoE at all. He even to come on the podcast when we had our buddies come on for After Dark, he didn't even care. He's like, you know what? I don't like this game enough to even get on the podcast, so forget it. He loved our last episode, Justin, because you kicked the crap out of the community again. It's his favorite part. Every time you rag on the community, because last time you were
What were we talking about?
you were
He's already
crushing the
Oh, the
people.
teaser. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
that's
Oh my
right.
God. Oh my God. Yes.
It looks just like
the
last league. I'm out. Stupidly.
Yeah.
So anyway, he just absolutely loves it. And so when we were
It's all
playing
for you,
Formula, that's right. So when we were playing Formula One the other night, he made sure to bring it up and appreciate how good last episode was. BK, sometimes you see some of the cartoon Pixar shows. Have either of you seen Luca yet?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well, my kids watched it. I didn't actually pay attention to it, but we
Oh.
have seen it here in the house.
It is played in my presence.
Ah,
Yeah,
but you
I
didn't
was
watch-
probably not. I don't know anything about it. So
It looked lame, and I wasn't
Okay.
interested. But the kids, of course, we load up Disney Plus. The kids are really good at listening to rules, so they're allowed to watch whatever they want on the kids' profile. Go ahead. And anyway, Luca came out, and it wasn't one of those things you had to pay for the first 3 months. It was just straight to Disney Plus, free to watch. And so they really wanted to watch it. So my wife and I, we made time to watch it with the kids. It was so good. Frickin' Pixar. They always make me cry. It wasn't like a shallow story. There wasn't like stupid, storylines to eventually get to a neat point. It was just good, like good dinosaur all the way through. It was really good. So anyway,
okay,
if you
Good
feel like-
Dinosaur is hilarious when they get high.
it
When they
is.
eat the
Yes, it
mushrooms.
is. That's such a good movie though, because in The Good Dinosaur, the bad guy is just the hard choices you have to make. You know what I mean? Like there was no like good versus evil. It was just growing up and hard choice. It was a good show. But also, I'm not double vaccinated yet, but that's coming on the 17th.
Nice.
But this new vaccination thing, I can walk around now with my spits. Any baseball players out there know what spits are? They're like the flavored sunflower seeds or sunflower shells. You
Right,
get
what
them
about it?
when you play. Well, now I always walk around with them. I always buy them and I have them. And when I'm
God,
walking
I would
the
love
dog,
to
I
see
have
you
them.
just open up the bottom of your mask
And they
just
just all
dump
fall
out the
out
ones
of
you
them.
spit up.
No, but now that I don't have to walk around with a mask anymore, it's not legally required. I've had my first dose. I can walk around normally. I can have spits now. It still feels kind of weird, like spitting something out when we're so close.
Are you talking about? You must be talking about just walking out in general, not going into stores. You're still wearing a mask for
I'm not
that.
spitting spits at the
Well, I don't know.
bookstore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
No,
does the Delta variant not exist up there? Because that thing gets around in the vaccines.
Because you could take the mask off when you were walking around outside before. I just don't think you did, right?
I didn't, but not as like a point. I would walk the kids to school, but I wanted my kids to wear a mask to and from school, so I would have my mask on. A lot of other parents didn't, but then I would walk the dog to school.
I'm just saying I didn't.
Yeah, no, I saw your hand up there. All the people listening saw it too. And then just because I'd forget to take it off, I'd end up walking my dog from the school all the way around. I'd always have my mask on. But I could have spits on my walk.
Yay!
It's a nice. So, yeah, that's awesome. Justin, did you have a week?
Yep, I did. I
Good
got
talk.
my second
Good talk.
dose.
Nice.
Oh, that's right. You were feeling pretty
Monday.
crappy that night.
Yeah, but it was so it definitely wasn't the vaccine. Sunday, our garage door, one of the springs snapped. And so me being the He-Man that I am, thought I need to get it up because we're actually going to replace the garage door. It's old and we've been needing to anyway. And I don't want to replace just the spring. So
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to get the garage door up, at least move the cars out so that we don't have to worry about it. What I didn't realize though is when the garage door fell, it only dropped maybe 2 or 3 inches, but a piece of the metal from the rail wedged in with a piece of the metal from the actual wheels that go along it. So I get down underneath like to push up, and as soon as I push up, the garage door does not move like fraction of a centimeter, and my back just goes like pushes straight down into the bottom of my spine.
Oh no!
And I'm instantly in pain, and I'm like, okay. So I called my brother and Chris. I'm like, I need some help. I can't lift this thing. Can you guys come over? So they were awesome. They came by, and we had to like really wrench on it to get it to break free, and it went up. So that's Sunday. About halfway through Sunday, I'm walking to go up my stairs in the house, and my legs were like, nope, just dropped out. I fell right down.
Oh no!
No way.
So Sunday and Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, I could barely walk. So when I went to do the vaccine, I stood for the whole time. Like they seat you down in your seat and you got to wait for the person to come up. I just stood. And then when the guy came up to do the shot, I'm like, my back is completely messed. If I sit down, I'm going to fall when I get back up. So they were cool. They were super.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want to get sued. Thank you, sir. Just please stand.
He's like, if you get dizzy, just grab a seat. I was like, I promise I'm not going to get dizzy.
I'm running out of here. I'm not waiting the 15 minutes. I waited
the 15.
Good for you.
But the shot itself didn't do anything. My arm was sore the next day, but I felt fine. I had meetings all day Tuesday, so I was refusing to be sick. Now, by like the third meeting, though, I don't even remember what we talked about. My back was dead. I was just getting groggy and stuff. So
that sucks, man. I secretly laugh inside, though, at how often you forget you have a bad back. But every time you have a bad back, it's really bad, and I feel really bad. It's a mixture of emotions for me.
I'm going tomorrow to meet with my one doctor that I've been working with, and I'm going to we're going to do prolotherapy on it. So they do like an injection into the spine.
Is this your fountain of youth doctor, or is this a normal? Okay.
Yep.
They're going to fix your back too?
It helps the body develop scar tissue around the damaged area. And I'm going to try that. And then I heard that there's some new thing out there, and I'm going to try and get on a list to be a test patient.
But there's only 2 countries in the world who approve it.
Canada's one of them. But they do an injection. Yeah, right?
Man.
Oh. You all right, Ty? That was a good one.
Well,
don't wreck that mic,
that's a
kid.
new world record.
I've heard of people going over
21 minutes and 16 seconds. Well done. World record.
Anyway, Canada is one of the places that does it, and they do an injection right into the disc. And apparently degenerative disc disease, which is what I have in the lowest 3 vertebrae, is because of lack of blood. And this helps somehow the disc start to regenerate its own. I don't know what it does. I don't actually care.
So you're going to be a cyborg.
Oh, man, you already know. If they would let me take a metal spine, I'd be in right now.
That's true. Same with my knee.
Yeah, right?
I have a robot knee for sure.
You can do it in Europe. In Europe, I could go to Europe
I love
and
how
get
general that is.
Well, I just know in many places in Europe they do it. They just don't do it anywhere in North America.
I'm just gonna wait for them to actually have like cybernetic enhancements so I can get like a tennis ball launcher for my dogs.
Just put a chip into your neck and you're like,
So,
oh,
yeah,
I'm
just
good.
like kneel down and then just there goes the tennis ball and the dog's gonna chase after it. It'd be awesome.
So many better things. Yeah.
I'm fine with my
anyway.
pencil neck. I'm fine.
No,
like my
I don't.
neck.
You know what's super frustrating is I have felt so good health-wise, and then to have something stupid like that literally wiped me out. I couldn't walk for 4 days. And then Wednesday, I went to my chiropractor and told him what was going on. He did a little bit of work and adjusted it a little bit, but he had to be careful, obviously. He did a laser on it. Worst day ever was that Wednesday. And Thursday, I woke up, nothing. It didn't hurt at all. That never happens. I never go from like, can't walk to just
better.
I'm good. I don't know what happened. So
well, I'm glad it happened, whatever it was.
Yep. I'm going to try and get prolotherapy done pretty soon and see if I can, I don't know, become a little bit more robotic down there. That's my goal. And I got to go to a Bandits game. Now, most people don't know what Bandits is, but in BC, we don't have professional basketball. Like we used to have the Grizzlies, Vancouver Grizzlies. And oh my God.
Thanks, Memphis.
I went to every single, man, I keep making noise here. I went to every single game that they had that we could get to when I was younger, obviously, so I couldn't go.
Big country.
That's right.
Kareem.
Like the giant white guy. And but the Bandits is a professional basketball team in BC. It's the only place you can watch professional basketball. And I actually got to go to a game. It took Chris with me.
Nice. Yeah.
It was fun to finally get out.
Yeah.
You have to wear a mask in between, but once you get to your seats, take your mask off. And there were only 30 people there. It was like a sponsor event.
Yeah.
So there was almost nobody in there, but they're starting people back in there on the 14th.
Up to 3,000 people?
I think it only fits 3,000, so they can have up to 1,500 or something. Oh, no, they can have up to... There is a lot they can have. Here's the dumb thing. I'm talking to the guy about our tickets, and I wanted to buy 3 seats.
Yeah.
Because we were going to go and then take Chris too. He's like, oh, yeah, I can give you your season tickets that you have and the one seat right beside it, but you'll be sitting right beside another group of 3. I'm like, well, you can do that? Oh, yeah, we can set a group of 6 together. I'm like, we're a group of 3. Oh, yeah, but 6 can sit together. I'm like, from different groups? Like, I'm not sure that's how it works.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you need to change that around. I don't think you
understand the basic rules of a pandemic.
Yeah, we're not a group of 6. We're a group of 3. And so I'm like, you're putting us somewhere else and don't sell those ones beside me. I don't want anybody else sitting beside us. So they did it.
Power. For those that don't know, Justin actually does like sports. He's a huge basketball freak. Like
basketball.
Shaq. And yeah, huge basketball freak. Right behind, probably After Dark people know because we chit chat about whatever, but he's got a sweet big picture of Jordan. Jordan taking his last shot in the NBA right there. And of course his sound bars, or what do you call those things that muffle sound on your wall? What are those called? Those black and red things. Anyway, they're the color of the Bulls from Jordan's days. So he's a basketball guy. That's it. That's all I have to say. He's a basketball guy.
But that was my week. My week was fine. Work was great, but my back was a bitch all week. So I'm glad it's now normal and we can continue on. How was your PoE week? Let's start with you, BK, because you probably played it the most.
The first couple of days, I've just been going through some League Starter stuff. Just kind of going through. I was trying out Toxic Green Raider just because it is probably more than likely what I'll be starting unless I get like completely baited by some of the new skills. But other than that, I've been chipping away at 2 different achievements that I haven't gotten out of the game yet. And this past night, yesterday. No, wait, is today Friday? Today's still Friday. So this morning, time is an illusion. There's only Final Fantasy 14. This morning we did a hideout showcase. So like there's an unofficial hideout competition that goes on every single league. It's called Hideout or Iron Hideout. And I've worked with them.
Did you pick one?
No, I don't make one. I just do like the showcase of it so that everyone submits to like a forum thread. And then I basically watch the little video and make comments and show everyone else like their hideouts that they've made. And then there's usually like a thread where people can vote.
How many hideouts did you go through?
I think there was like 35 to 40 this time around. It was like 3 solid hours of like looking at different hideouts.
Crazy.
Yep. And next week we'll continue the all ears and no stone unturned achievements, which I don't know. It's something to do.
Yeah, totally. It's hard when leagues get pushed a bit, especially when you're playing it so often. What 2 achievements are you going for?
So the two that I'm going for are All Ears and No Stone Unturned. They're two of
sorry,
like
I didn't know what they were called. You said that. My apologies.
It's okay. They're the baseline achievements. You know how you have like league challenges where you get like 36 and like the portal or go all the way to 40. It's not one of those. This is one of like the base game ones that are always there. And the first one, the All Ears achievement, is you have to listen to all of these like non-optional dialogues in general, like, and you don't have to listen to them, but I have been just because I'm curious to actually hear the story, and I've got nothing fucking else going on right now.
Yeah.
So we've been doing like cozy lore playthroughs, and I am at 302 of 505 total dialogues that I have to collect right now for that one.
500? You still have 200 to do?
Yeah, I'm only in Act 5.
Oh.
And then I have to go back and do the No Stone Unturned part of that, which is clicking on the environmental logs. So, like, you know, when you're in lab and it's got like the little note on the ground, you click on it and it like has some history thing. We got to do that one next. So I'm thinking it'll probably take another 2 or 3 days next week too. So it'll keep me busy while we're waiting for this announcement.
Well, at least once it's done, it's done. With the dialogue, not the dialogue, the written ones that you click on, do you have to listen to them, or can you just click and go?
I imagine you can click and go, but I'm not 100% on that. Yeah.
And they can be done in any order?
The All Ears one cannot, because there's certain quest states that are tied to different dialogues. So if you advance your quest state beyond where that dialogue is available anymore, that dialogue goes away. So if you didn't get it, there's no way to like undo killing Piety and then go back. And it actually happened to me. It was at the beginning of Act 2, luckily, so I wasn't that far committed yet. But I actually didn't even fuck up. I just spooked myself. But if I had like gone and checked the dialogue anyways, because I thought it was going to be like one of the times where the NPC has the exclamation point above their head. And I was like, he doesn't have the point. He doesn't have the point. I missed it. And I like reset the character, deleted, and started all over again. But like it had actually counted.
Oh, no. So do you have to do it with one character, or is it account-based?
Yeah, it's all on one character.
Oh,
really?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so I had to delete the character and start again.
What a great achievement.
There's a special place in hell for the person that made and kept that achievement.
How many achievements will this leave you without in PoE on Steam after you get these two? Like, I imagine these are the two hardest ones to get.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, arguably some of there's like one where you have to do like level 90 in Uberlab and hardcore, and that can be difficult for folks. So I'd say like this is just going through the story and clicking on books. So this is more of like a tolerance achievement where, you know, like the hardcore stuff I would consider like a skill achievement, because like getting to 90 in hardcore is not the easiest thing in the world. Sometimes you die. You know?
When did they start taking hardcore officially, GGG? Because I remember it was a thing, but it wasn't something it wasn't stable enough, and it wasn't something they officially supported. They just put it in.
People still played it when it wasn't stable.
Yeah.
Right, but they put it in from what I know, they put it in for customers' sake, not because it was something they were hoping for. I mean,
early on, everybody tended to play hardcore because there was a weird thing in the community to mock people playing softcore.
So, but hardcore's been in since the dawn of time? It wasn't added, 2.0 or something?
I don't remember it not being in.
Oh, really? Oh, never mind then. Because I was going to say, I wonder how...
Yeah, because I used to do different leagues for softcore and hardcore too.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So like rather than how everyone gets like Ultimatum, they used to have 2 different leagues.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't remember a time of it ever not being there. But and I remember early on, everybody played hardcore. Well, not everybody, but there was a community vibe that if you weren't playing hardcore, you didn't count. I was fine not doing that.
Imagine actually counting.
Crazy. So is it actually kind of fun playing that way? Like, you're learning obviously a lot about lore, and I'm sure you know some lore from your other podcasts that you do, right? And hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, Kit and Cat Noodle knows so much about lore, and her videos are amazing. I've watched all of them.
Did you? Okay, good. I'm going through them right now. Yeah,
they're a lot of fun just to put on the background and play and listen along to. So I'd recommend it if anyone's curious about the story of PoE in general. Definitely check them out. And it's been really neat. It's kind of nice to play a character because, like, normally when you're streaming, people want to know what you're leveling, and if you're not going fast enough, then people are asking, like, why are you not fast? And does the skill suck? Or change your gear? They've got, like, all the advice in the world. And then like when you get to end game, it's all about your performance anyway. But just to completely play the game with like zero fucks given about anything else but clicking these dialogue options and like sitting and listening to them, it's like completely pressure off, and it's just neat.
Totally. Good for you. Well, I'm glad it's a nice break for you.
Yeah.
A break within a break. Nice.
What about you, Ty? Did you play PoE this week?
You didn't play?
A 100% no.
All right. I'm loving my new filter that I made. It is, I wasn't expecting to want to put it in for 315. I'm nervous to put in for 315, but my first attempt at the progressive filter, I'm really enjoying. All the details that I need to add to it don't have to be added. Like having certain things, because there's new recipes that were added this last league, like, what are they? Breach rings. There's a similar recipe for breach rings like there is unique rings, where, unique rings, they give you, what is it, lore weave?
Yep.
60 unique rings. And then if you get 60 breach rings, it gives you the, what's it called? Grasping mail? Something like that.
You got it.
And so those are new. Those are things I've never cared about. But I like lore weave, for example, was something I had a tab for it until I got it. I got my lore weave and I'm like, great. Now I don't care about unique rings anymore. So now they have this, I'll do that. So, there's they don't have to stand out for you to collect breach rings. I can easily just make corrupted rings show, and that's that. So a lot of the minor details I don't have to do, and I'm really liking how the progressive filter goes. Like I'm playing my for everyone filter as opposed to my guide specific one, and I'm not short on items, but almost nothing's showing up. It's so nice. Like I'm leveling, I'm trying it out with the most item dependent starter that you could use. In my opinion, that's Righteous Fire, right? You needing fire resist. I intentionally didn't go for fire resist with my chieftain right away when I ascended. I went for a different one just so that I would have to focus on items and mods for fire resist.
When did you go RF?
16. Obviously, that's when you get it. What is this business?
Is it that
no,
early?
Yeah, you get it at 16.
Man, I thought it was 24.
No, it's crazy how early it is. I don't know
why. It's more
why.
realistic at 24.
Yeah, the first when I was a brand new player in Harbinger League, no one told me that you switched to, RF later, like when you had gear. And I tried leveling. I started leveling from like whenever it was, and I just had 5 life flasks. And the 5th one was like an instant with the dousing on it. So that was like my panic off button.
Kept putting it out.
Yeah.
Well, all the other ones are out, then I just like smash that one.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, leveling as a chief is obviously a lot slower, but that's what I'm moving my guide to, from elementalist to chieftain. And so I say it right all the time now. It's au naturel. It's awesome.
It's impressive.
Chieftain. And
my God.
But early 40s, when you have Enduring Cry, even if you don't care about reducing the Enduring Cry's 8-second cooldown, by the early 40s, all you need is Enduring Cry.
Yeah,
and
I believe it.
You're totally fine. And then early 50s, you're sustaining. And by the time you're at the end of Act 7, you don't need the War Cry. You keep it anyway, because if you're going Chieftain, you're 90% likely going with endurance charges anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really nice. The only part that's slow is basically going through to Act 3 just before you ascend and get your first choice. It's a little slow, especially because Holy Flame Totem has really crappy, to me, it's a really crappy damage. Really crappy damage. And it's hard to scale because it's 50% physical, 50% fire. You get the Fireball at the beginning as a Marauder, but there's not really a lot of intelligence unless you go screaming for it. So anyway, I'm really liking it. I'm actually tempted to apply it this league, but that's kind of scary for me because right now I have 4 filters per filter, right? Like 4 tiers for my filter, and you just select the more strict tier. But if I go with a progressive filter, I'm getting rid of 3 tiers, right? Like that's technically all 4 strictnesses in one, and that's kind of scary to me because there's thousands of people that are following these other ones, and I have no way of communicating with them. Like, hey, I'm turning these off. This is the one you want. Like, it'll be the first one, and I'll apply it to one they're likely already following, but kind of makes me nervous because not very many people are following my Twitter account, which is where I give my filter updates. So
what happens if you just delete the filter? Do they lose it?
Yeah. And then they have to just go looking for a new random one. And maybe they'll see mine, maybe they won't. But obviously, and I'm not concerned about if they're following mine or not, or if they come back to it, but they're obviously using my filters because they like them. So I don't want to.
So just maintain all of them.
Yeah. The whole point I'm making this is so I can go from 24 filters to 6 or 8 or whatever it's going to be. But Anyway,
maintain 24 filters.
It's commendable.
Wow.
It's one for everyone, one for my guides, and then there's 4 tiers, so that's 8. But then there's 3 platforms, so that's 24. But I have to go progressive because I discovered this league that you can only have a maximum of 30 filters that you've created. The system doesn't let you make more, and I don't have enough. I don't have. I know what's going on. So anyway, I'm doing the switch, but I need more PoE time. I think I only played 2 times this week. I think maybe 3 hours, and all of it was for the chieftain, of course. But I need some end game time with it. I need to see again what it's like in T16s, and when I stop my 8 of 4s, how my 86s show up. I think I have everything. Like T14 is probably the busiest, where you can still get some of the minor stuff like armor scraps and scrolls of wisdom. But once you hit T15 and 16, then that's a lot more narrow. I think T15 is nothing below item 84 shows. So, that's kind of how some of the small decisions I've made. But I need other people to play it to give me some feedback.
What level is your chieftain?
Mid 50s
Like,
now.
are you in
I just
endgame?
killed Arakali before you two showed up in Discord.
Okay. So you're not endgame yet.
No. But I've been switching it back and forth. Like I go online and I switch it from PC to Xbox, and then I'll load it up on Xbox and I'll try and do something. But I've been theory crafting so much, I'm not actually playing my builds that are set up, like my Bone Zombies build. I'm theory crafting for my 3rd guide, like whether I want to do max block zombie or a champion, and I can't. My brain's exploding with decision making. It's annoying. It's great, but it's annoying. It's a PoE.
You play
lovers.
PoE in the weirdest ways.
The best way, my way. It's awesome. Anyway, it was a great week. It was just almost all of it was in my head. I got about 3 hours of gameplay, but I'm happy the filters actually, my initial decisions are working out well, and I'm happy with them. Because it's a lot of work to change your system and how your decisions are going to be applied to gameplay. It can take a lot. So I'm glad. Good week.
Cool.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I didn't play PoE. We played Baldur's Gate 2 once more for a little bit.
It was just as great and just
Didn't
as
go well.
frustrating as last week. It's Baldur's Gate 2. No
Baldur's Gate
beta
2
for
Enhanced
it for us.
Edition. We've never played it, and I really, really want to like it, but I was getting really, really mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is, but we died many times.
A lot. Our solution is turning it down to easy, and we really don't want to.
Because we're on normal right now.
Mm-hmm. And apparently that's like the
What you do
lowest
is you tell everyone you're playing it for the story. Oh, I don't
That's
concern
right.
myself with mechanics. I'm just here for the story.
Yeah, what a load of horseshit. I just hate dying.
in every
over
game
and
you
over.
do. In every game you hate dying.
No, like no, that's true. Yeah, I do. There's some games where you just expect to die, though. If I play like a Dark Souls type game, I
Yeah,
know I'm going to die, and that's
exactly.
fine. In this one, I didn't feel like I learned much from dying. Like, oh, great, a trap's there. That's awesome. Oh, good, you just walked across it again.
Yeah, you're
Thank
my
you.
traps person walking across traps for no reason. Thanks for that.
And the trap.
Have you either of you seen the honest trailers for Dark Souls?
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness.
No.
It makes you pee your pants. It is so wonderfully accurate. It is great. I'm curious though. It got me thinking because Justin, you said something that referenced a quote from the honest trailers for Dark Souls series. I'm curious if they ever did a Path of Exile one. I haven't even looked it up. I'm going to do that after this. Come on, let's wrap it up. I got stuff
Make
to
a
do.
note of that, eh? All right, let's talk about
am
this
I
week
allowed?
in PoE.
Timestamp, excuse me.
Yeah, timestamp that, Just. Timestamp that.
Yeah, please.
Hang on.
I'll mark it down. Yep.
No, what was
Although
I going to...
timestamps mean nothing once I start editing.
What?
Oh, backup should start.
Oh no.
Did you seriously just start it?
no.
Did you seriously?
We're good.
Professional
We're good.
One of our audio
Podcast
programs was
people.
crashing before the son of a, I did that you last. Oh, what was I going to write down?
I don't remember.
Honest trailers.
Yeah, you're looking for the PoE honest trailer.
Go ahead. We'll wait.
No, you can keep talking.
All right, let's talk about
Trailers.
stuff this week in PoE.
Oh, I should say it Octavian style. It's just Path. Nobody says PoE. It's just like Path.
Is that what it is? Just path?
That's what I
I say
remember. I was
PoE.
blown away. Yeah, see, you say PoE and that registers normal to me. But when we had Octavian on a while ago, he kept saying it. Yeah, but then when you're playing Path, it's like, and I'm like,
And you didn't understand?
no,
or
he
you were
just blew
like,
my
wow,
mind. I didn't know that was allowed. I
You
was
can take words out?
I like it. There's people that call it Poe too, like Edgar Allan Poe. Like, yeah, I'm gonna play some Poe.
Yeah.
I think I just say PoE.
Yeah.
But it's so long. May as well just say Path of Exile when we say PoE. Anyway.
It's true. All right. Anyway, more fan art, shockingly.
Yay.
It's cool.
It is. It's so good. It's just there's so much. I'm just like,
I think they're literally running out of stuff to talk about too. Even GG at this point is like,
yeah,
okay,
they're like, I don't know.
Sorry,
let's
guys.
just go back and see some pictures of some sweet ass old hideouts and some old fan art competitions. And hey, remember that one time that one person did something pretty cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is cool, but
it's a lot.
I really feel like they've run out of stuff.
I think it would be a prime opportunity to release like concept art for the acts that we've seen of PoE 2 already. Like that would be badass. See more of like the forests and everything from Act 1 and some more of like the desert stuff from Act 2. Cool. I mean, even if it was like reference picture stuff, like weapons and armor and stuff like that would be really cool.
Yeah, it would.
Yep.
I guess they're just keeping
it's
that.
It's just been too much fan art.
Not the fans.
It is really good.
Not the fans.
Okay,
fault.
calm down,
They're
Tyler.
stoked.
Nobody's going against the fans, all right? I'm just saying. Give us something else to look at.
BK,
That's all. Put it into one post. Make it one. One post, not two.
BK, how do you follow, well, not like how, but I don't know how you follow Path of Exile, but do you see the fan art postings? Do you ever look at them?
Yeah, it shows up in Twitter, and then like when you log into the game, they have like
the most recent.
Yeah, like the most recent news posts in there with the login screen. And if I, get clickbaited by the picture or whatever that they choose, I'm like, oh, I'll click on it. And scroll through and be like, yeah, I remember this stuff. I've been, playing for 4 years. I remember these contests.
I did see one in this one that kind of made me laugh. It was a drawing of a witch next to a spider, but I can't think of any time where the witch is an ally with a spider in the game. So it got me thinking, like, she's looking pretty bored in this picture, the witch. She just got her wand. I think she's got her starter gear on, or lack of gear on.
Well, you know where that is.
Where?
I mean, I can't remember what act you're in, but you're going up towards the Val Cavern or whatever, and there's tons of spiders.
Yeah, but they're not allies, right? And in this picture, the witch is just kind of standing there, almost like the big spider's
Maybe
her
she's
pet.
like controlling it.
And so I was thinking, like, yeah, maybe there's just some times where you're like, draw a fan art thing where someone's like really frustrated or something. Like, my first ever art in my life is going to be about PoE, and it's going to be a painting or drawing or whatever, and it's going to be great, obviously. But it's going to be a character standing next to a blight tower, and they're reading an instruction manual, and there's like waves of enemies just pouring at them, but they need to read the text of what their options are, so they're looking at a book. That's going to be my first PoE art, fan art. It's going to be great.
We had a patch this week.
Great. Thanks for listening.
Yep, there was a patch. 3.14.3.
Dick.
No, it's 3.14.3. An engine improvement.
It wasn't
patch.
the letter one, but this was an amazing patch. Did you play since BK? They added this? Oh, did you hit F1 cool. Just cuz?
Yeah, the performance thing is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It just shows you more. Is there anything that actually made the game run better?
I think there was some engine improvements, but the new display thing is basically like taking a little what is it when when you're checking your performance, what is that called when you do the Windows key or whatever, system manager or something like that? It just takes up like program manager and like shows you like how much RAM you're using. Like you can see all that information anyways, but now it's like in the client, which is really cool.
It's cool because it's in the client, so if you're not running double monitors or something, you can see it actively, like what it's doing, and it gives you a bit of an idea as to maybe where you're bottlenecking. I didn't read anything that was specific to like that it was an actual improvement.
No, it was more just, there was a couple fixes, not engine related, but just like a crash fix, an MTX fix, and then it was mostly explaining the benefits of the graph bar. I think it's really cool though, because now instead of having 3 graphs up there, you have one. It's color coded, and there's 2 versions of it shown at the same time. So there's the graph where it shows the lines that are bouncing up and down, color coded based on what you're looking for. But then there's also the bar graph, and you see it bouncing around live and really fast. Well, for me, it's really fast how often it goes up and down. But I thought it was really neat because now I can, like, why is this not working? Just look at my screen. Just fix it. And now it'll help you even more.
You could still see the same stuff, but it is cool now that it's on your screen, so you don't have to have like the task manager open.
Yeah, it is. BK, your computer's good enough that it's all running smooth, right? You barely see the bars.
Oh, I'm sure they go up and down. I just haven't had any sort of performance issues to where I need to monitor that. And like I said, the hardware that I use is like perfectly average in every single regard, and that I've never had any sort of performance issues. I think I crashed like twice in Heist, and that was it.
Lucky.
Yep. I consider myself very fortunate to not have to deal with this level of frustrations, which is good because that's the last thing I want to do when my, career, how I pay my bills is centered around playing this game. And if I start crashing and I can't play the game, well, that's just not a very good thing for me.
Final Fantasy!
No, I can't make money doing that. But yeah, I feel lucky that I've not had any major issues.
Yeah, I'm happy for you.
I'm surprised that there are mostly positive comments on them. That doesn't normally happen.
Yeah. Great. Awesome.
I didn't go past page 1.
That's
so
fine.
Yeah,
that's all you
go.
need.
They may have come later.
Yeah.
But, oh, never mind. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah. I love somebody takes the time.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, there has to be that one person.
Look at
There's
me.
a lot more than one.
Mhm. Well, I mean the one person that screws up my comment.
Gotcha.
Zerp, you jerk.
Invader Zerp. There wasn't a dev manifesto, but I think I said this last week. It sounds familiar, so sorry for repeating myself, but I'm excited for the dev manifesto. I love how it divides people. I love that there's just a huge outpouring of and then, yay, that's awesome. The dev manifestos always do it. It's just a nice cut 50-50. Any guesses what the dev manifesto is going to be on? Huh? People?
Like when?
No,
or
Like, what's the big change going to be for 3.15?
Oh.
Goodness.
Well, they're introducing all those brand new skill gems. And then as far as we know Ultimatum's not going core, so they'll probably explain a little bit more in detail as to why or how they might have any sort of like preliminary plans about how to handle it. And then I don't know. I don't know really what to expect for this one because there was nothing particularly amazing about this league. Like there was no in Heist, or you could infinitely copy those blueprints. Like there was no problems aside from the initial one with the infinite loot spawn that got the people banned. Like there hasn't been any of those like big imbalances this particular league. Like the metas that were popular are still popular this time around, and maybe we'll see some adjustments to things like Blade Fall, Blade Blast again, or Archmage, or Agnostic, or some of the Slam stuff. I don't know. Like we could still see further tweaking, but I'm not expecting a bunch because I feel like most of their focus is going to be on bringing the new gems in. So I'm not expecting any of the skills to get like absolutely slaughtered. I think it'll probably be numeric adjustments, and then them just trying to make the new skills look really, really good so people play them and get excited and talk about them.
Totally. Just any guesses? Or are you going to,
No, I have no idea. They haven't given a timeline for the dev manifesto, right?
No, it's always...
Besides the 15th for the teaser.
It's always the day
trailer
before patch notes. So for us, patch notes are Tuesday night, so it's normally Monday night.
Right.
But I think, now this is, again, we know it's a
Ty,
teaser.
do you have any idea?
Thanks for asking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shucks.
No? Okay.
Moving on.
I know it's a teaser, not a trailer, but it just seemed like there were a lot of AoE skills. Even the one that was like a chaos blazing salvo, whether it's an AoE or not, it would still hit a lot at once.
Yep.
So maybe I kind of see strike skills really falling behind. If they're not lowering the damage of AoE skills, I could see them really upping the damage of strike skills.
I'm hoping it is a Nova League, since they've taken these distinctions to make certain spells Novas, like the Nova tag. And then they've had, like, more recently was the orb, and now things are orb skills. Like, I hope a lot of these new ones are Nova skills, and maybe some new Nova type AoE supports or something like that. Because we've had like Intensify and a couple other ones, but I don't know.
I would love that.
I want to do, and I hope none of them are channels because I want to put them in mines. Because that's if I see a skill I like, I just instantly want to put it in the mine and play it. But yeah, it'd be cool to do more mines with the astral projector ring that allows Novas to be cast at enemies rather than at players or at the base of where they originate from. So it'd be so cool just to like throw a bunch of mines, and then everywhere there's enemies, your screen just explodes in these novas of intensity. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. I love the skills that go and explode from you, like Ice Nova or Vortex and stuff like that. I know melee skills are like that, but in terms of a spell, I like the ones that are forced to be off of you. Maybe there's a unique interaction like there is with Frostbolt, like you said, or you know, using them with mines. So I like that. That'd be cool to have a Nova tag. honestly, PoE 2 to have that kind of variety that they want, you need 1,000 more tags.
The cool thing too is that, and a lot of people were pretty disappointed with Reap being a spell and not an attack. But the very first skill that's showcased is actually an attack. It's supported by attack support, so they've got war cries and all this other kind of stuff on their bars. So it looks like Reap and Bloodstorm together. So they're finally getting like a Reap sort of styled attack now, which will be pretty interesting.
Was the one that put the blue cross on the ground not a strike? I didn't actually pay attention. I just assumed it was.
Spell, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Cool.
There's also a possible theory out there right now that these are actually reworks. That it's like they're retiring certain old skills that people aren't using anymore and reworking them. Because there's people that are saying that the icon for the lightning one that you're talking about, I forget what it was called, like Storm Bind or something like that. The glyph one, that they released that was really clunky. Yeah. People are saying that the icon to that one matches the icon in the new video, like pretty close, like not 100%, but pretty close.
That'd be relatively quick for them to dump a skill because Stormbind's not like a
it's not
super old skill. Wow.
So I don't think they're reworks, but I like the idea of them going back and touching up old skills for sure.
Totally.
Like I wish they would.
Yep.
Crazy. Yeah.
Agreed.
Good call. Did either of you see the they're still trying to throw out their merchandise bags that they have? Only have a few hundred left, but did you see the statue that you can just buy outright? You don't have to apply for per se.
It's really pretty.
Well, they had it at ExileCon.
Yeah. But they're still trying to get rid of them per se. They're $500 American for a Solaris and Lunar statue. They're 18 inches tall. Like it's a big statue, and it looks amazing. Oh man, but $500, I could never touch it.
I've just never been that type of nerd. Like I had like my minis for like the different tabletops I played, but other than that, I didn't really have figurines and stuff like that growing up.
Oh.
I'm just not that type of nerd. I see that and I'm like, that's just clutter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When we were at ExileCon, Ethan asked them about it and signed up to get notified when they were going to sell it. And so a while back, they contacted him and I was talking to him and he's like, yeah, it's 500 US. Plus you have to ship it.
Yep.
Like, so you pay for shipping as well. So it was going to cost like in the $800 or $900 Canadian range. And I was like, dude, that would be the dumbest purchase. Like, do you really care about that statue? He's like, not really.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool, but do you care $900 enough about this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Yeah. Some people do. Some people spend $900 on a watch and they could have gone to Walmart for $20.
Sure.
Guess what? You use a watch every single day.
Hey, maybe you look at the statue.
Ty.
Well, maybe the statue reminds you of a good time.
You're like, okay, it is 8:23. It is now the statue observing hour. Please proceed to observe my statue.
That's right. You better for that much money. I saw that they don't have any more of the jackets in there. We've talked about this before. I don't like the mystery bag thing they did anyway, but
Do you need
the
an
hoodie's not available.
hoodie?
What's that?
If you need one, I have an extra. What size?
Oh no, I have one.
Oh.
I don't wear it.
Thanks.
I got Tyler one when we were there, but that is nice. Do you have an extra one?
Yeah, I always get 2 things like that.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I bought all of the shirts.
That's why she's not getting a statue, because it'd actually be 18.
She's got
yeah,
two of them.
actually, I got 2 $500 hoodies instead. Big true.
That's right.
Big
That's
true.
right.
Not for me.
The hoodie's cool. It's just too big.
I actually had to pay someone to fly there and then fly it back to me. And then put it directly in my hands. That's why it was so expensive.
That's when you're making your streamer wage, you just throw it out there, right?
Yeah, just make that huge streamer money. Yep.
You gotta do something with the money.
Pick me up a hoodie and a statue.
That's right. Go spend a weekend in Hobbiton while you're there. On me. I'd never spent $500 on this thing, and I think it'd be really cool to have one. But I always put those types of collector things in my fish tank, like when my wife got the collectors for Tomb Raider when it first came out, or when we got it for Dante Inferno, or when I would get them for, I don't know, like the first Assassin's Creed, or like a Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. I would put all those figurines doing something in my fish tank. It was cool. I liked it. I thought it was awesome. But
2 things like that I've ever sprung for was the 1 edition, I think, of Halo 3 that came with the Master Chief helmet, like the full-size actual helmet. I got that one because that's badass. And then when Fallout 4 came out and they had like the full Pip-Boy.
Pip-Boy?
Yeah.
That you could wear.
You have the Pip-Boy?
Yeah,
and you could like, you could slide your phone into it and like actually have the app and
While
stuff.
you were playing.
I did that because, like, of course,
Good
it's the
for
closest thing to a fucking power glove that I've had since I was like 3 years old. So obviously,
Oh man, the power glove was so cool.
it was.
Yeah, Bethesda did up until that point. They did collector's editions really well, until the canvas bag fiasco. Then it all fell apart.
I don't remember that.
They just advertised a certain type of bag for your collector's edition, and then you got like basically a plastic bag instead.
Yeah, so I think it was when 76 came out. It was supposed to be this really cool, like, military duffel, like, heavy-duty canvas bag. And they got, like, what those, reusable grocery bags are made out of.
Well, I mean, at least the game was great, so it didn't matter.
Hey, it's changed a lot!
Hey. Too bad. It was just perfect right out of the gate. It had nothing wrong with it.
Classic
That was their saving grace.
Good thing, man.
That's a
Good
wink.
thing.
We're winking and nudging for those that aren't catching Justin's sarcasm. It took me a few minutes, but
I'm dead
anyway.
serious right now.
Totally. Greatest game.
What are you talking about? Okay, I got a question for you. You're two vets, right? And BK, you know more lore than both of us combined, times 3.
Lower?
Lore. L-O-R-E. Lore.
Lore, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so in the character selection screen, they changed it, right? You're not in the pirate ship anymore. I know. Yeah. I really missed that one. That was really good storytelling.
Boat,
yeah. Next, I guess we're choosing our character at the gauntlet or the hangman or whatever that's called. But anyway,
that's badass
hangman.
too.
The hangman, I love that.
I was actually speechless when that started that way.
Yeah,
it was pretty sweet.
I was absolutely speechless.
It's what's crazy is at that intro, we don't even care about the lore. Well, we do, but we haven't, and we're still emotionally attached to these characters anyway. We're like, they can't die.
I changed my mind.
I thought it was amazing because, like, my biggest complaint about, like, the state of the story and the way things are now is that, like, the first couple of acts, great, but you get through, like, what was added in 3.0. And it's some of the worst storytelling I've ever had to, like, sit through in a game. It's really obnoxious. A lot of, like, the cool part of the lore are all in these things that you have to interact with and read. And there's backstories about, like, the history of wraeclast and all this other kind of stuff. But, like, the story of you going through the world is bullshit. It is like some 14-year-old kids, like, D&D fantasy god mode bullshit. It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, kill this god and then kill that god and, like, fuck you and your civilization. I'm gonna kill this god too and fuck your spider and fuck your 2 gods. And it's just like this completely unbelievable track of, like, mayhem and destruction. You carving this path and you're supposed to, like, it's not realistic at all. And so the thing that I love the most about, like, the trailer starting that way for PoE 2 with, like, all those characters getting hung, it was, like, the perfect way to instantly show, like, all right, we are back to doing nitty gritty, dark, like, action RPG genre stuff. Like, we're just gonna hang these fucking characters in the first 10 seconds of their existence.
Yeah.
And the one's gonna, like, scamper off of a tower into the water. Like, it just instantly place sets perfectly.
It is.
And, like, that's when you're like, we're back on track. Like, this is action RPGs at the core of them. And then we had, like, a forest graveyard first act, and then the act 2 was the desert. So it's even, like, following the, the archetypes of, the past RPGs before it. So I'm really hoping it gets back on track because I don't know.
Now, how do you think some, like, 7 god killers are all, like, standing right next to each other? They're just fine getting hung, and then they just die. Like, they've killed gods and hordes of enemies, but it's like, oh, shoot, I got this rope around my neck. Well, I guess that's it. I'm done. But my point was, in the current one where you're, like, in the Oriath Square, like the Templar area, when you're selecting your characters, there's a rat just behind the Templar with red eyes. It's always there. And it's moving. It moves more than anything else on the entire screen. And when you're sitting there waiting for your kids to finish this, or, like, you're dealing with, and like, you're on that screen for a while for whatever the reason is, all you see is the rat. Those crazy red shining eyes. Have either of you noticed it?
Nope.
Yeah,
I'm launching the game right now.
Timestamp. That's right. Timestamp this.
Excuse me. Timestamp.
I want you both to load the game and go to the character creation.
This is important.
It is.
Okay. If there's not a rat there, Tyler.
I know. What if
you
it's only on
so
console?
Fired.
I know. Now I gotta load it too.
Oh God, I have to update.
Oh no, same. Fuck.
Oh, that's awesome. Here, let me send you a screenshot.
Right. No, I
got it. I'm
seconds.
watching it now. Wow, I beat you with the update with this.
I didn't click it right away.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't going to do
a
any
crap.
set.
Mr. Fast Internet.
Look, it's maybe no.
I also haven't played for 2, 3, 4 weeks, so I don't think it's one update.
Oh, it's not a rat. It's like a crow, but still, it has these red eyes, and it moves and it moves, and it's looking around, and they made their eyes shiny. It's right by the Templar socks.
Yeah, I see it. It's there.
It's at the character creation part?
Yeah.
Fuck, so I gotta delete something?
No, just hit login.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then look.
It's by the Templar's foot.
Why is it there? Why isn't it scared of all these people? Why are its eyes glowing brighter than anything else? And when
so we would have deep conversations about the lore of the rat.
Is there anything like yeah, I think it's a raven or a bird, but I was saying rat at the beginning and I wrote rat down, but what? Do you see it, Just?
My game is sitting at Grinding Gear Games stupid wheel spinning.
Oh, I had actually after the 0.3 patch, I had to reload the game once. It wouldn't load for me.
Oh, maybe that's what it is, because it's literally just sitting here at the gears.
But I'm like, why is it there? Why is it so important that it's there? I don't know. I have all these questions. I was hoping one of you would be like, oh yeah, there's this thing back in the, I don't know, and it'd be some sort of throwback to something.
No, sorry to disappoint.
Maybe it's like a character.
I give up on not loading it.
Maybe it's
I don't actually care.
Maybe it's a PoE 2 character, but they're like a shapeshifter and they've been there the whole time. Huh?
That would mean they're like a baby rat because PoE 2 starts like 20 years after PoE 1.
Or they live a long time. Maybe they're introducing like elves and stuff, the immortal kind.
Now it's an elven rat.
Maybe an elven shapeshifting rat. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, people, look at it and stare at it and ask it why it's there. And if it tells you why, let me know, because when I'm on console and I have like this 60-inch TV up there, I see this massive rat bird and its eyes are so freaking red on the screen. Rat bird. Yeah, because it is actually yeah, I saw it. It's a bird. It's on 2 legs. I screwed up with the rat. Maybe it's a rat. I don't know.
Rats can stand up on 2 legs.
Yeah, I guess they do, especially in The Secrets of Nim. So, good book. Good show. Hey, BK. Justin, have you, seriously, are you still loading the game? I thought you were the tech guy.
No, he gave up.
No, I gave up.
I gave up.
Oh, okay.
It just kept going to their stupid Grinding Gear games rolling around.
How'd your bingo league go, BK?
It went well.
Did it?
Yeah, I had another, I thought it was going to be like a much smaller league considering how unpopular Ultimatum League was in general, like how much of the player knockoff there was. But no, we had like 400 something plus people. So that's really cool, and quite a few bingos, and we rolled out the bounty program again, which was a lot of fun because it allows people to kind of go for these other goals rather than going for bingos. So people that, it creates like a little bit for everyone. So people have different goals or playing for certain rewards, or maybe they get lucky, and then there's always like the ones where it's like a random draw for anyone who reaches like level 95 or something like that.
Yeah, I've been there 100 times. Yeah, easy.
Do you keep track of stats for your bingo league, like how many people do certain squares?
Yeah, I can show it to you.
Oh, we're gonna bring it up. We're gonna save it for After Dark because we're already in here. But we have many questions regarding this bingo squares. Many.
Do you?
Oh no.
No, they're Justin and I love
some of them. We just don't understand. Every episode that comes up were your stuff
because we love going through them. I'm sure you've heard it. We love going through them, and we try and figure out which ones we would ever be capable of doing. Not in the 10 days, but just ever. And
we always get the middle.
It is. Those are so hard. Those are so hard. So the people that play them and do them, congratulations to every single one of you, because it's a little beyond me, a little bit. So you're saving it for After Dark? We're not gonna do it now?
Yeah, you got notes here.
No, that's fine. None of it matters. None of it matters.
Oh my god. Okay, BK. The thing you just sent me, never send that to Tyler.
Why?
Never.
What is it?
Because it's a spreadsheet and you would just explode on stream and I don't have time to edit
My pants are already wet from when you made me spill, man. I'm good. Is it?
What are you talking? I'm not telling you anymore. I'm just. This is a teaser, Ty. A teaser is just a tease.
I don't like this game. It looks just like last week.
Anyway,
fine.
I do want to talk about it, but we'll talk about it later.
Well, okay. Can I ask about bubble numbers then?
What's a bubble number?
I didn't even notice this. What game was it? I think it was one of the Honest trailers actually that made me think of it. And they put like damage numbers that pop up.
Combat text.
On a trailer that they had. I think it was like for one of the Marvel trailers or something. They were like doing damage multipliers. They were laughing at how many people they would hurt in one attack. And I got thinking like, there's no bubble numbers in PoE. And I loved that in Diablo. And I actually like that there aren't any in Path of Exile, but I also want them in Path of Exile, like to see how much damage I'm doing.
How would you not do it without it look super cartoony?
It would look really bad. And the game's already so clustered that it would, oh my goodness, I would just be more to complain about. But I still kind of want it because I want to see, like, there's nothing in the game, no dummy in my hideout, no nothing. There's like, I want to see some damage that I'm doing, and I have no reference point at all. So I just thought it would be neat. Like, could you two picture bubble numbers in this game, or is it too unrealistic for this kind of game?
It's called combat text.
Yeah, please call it.
It just seems weird to call it bubble numbers. I can't imagine bubble numbers.
They're not bubble numbers.
They're not. It's not combat text.
I definitely can't imagine bubble numbers.
Yes.
Combat text, I also don't think it would look good. Also, you're not wrong. There's too much shit on the screen already.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I would like it, because it's really nice to have that sort of feedback that, when you change some skill gems around or get an upgrade, you see that immediate effect of it. It's not something you have to load into PoB, or we know sometimes that the tooltip is misleading and doesn't carry like the buff reflections.
Did you say sometimes?
And that kind of stuff.
You said sometimes.
And it's sometimes not effective to look at the tooltip. It's true.
I'll take a death recap before I see bubble numbers.
Don't call them that.
But
I'm just sticking with what he called them.
Wouldn't it be awesome if in the options menu you could toggle it and they called it bubble numbers?
No,
because that would be combat
worse
text.
if they called
combat
it that.
Text, it would be
I would
combat
actually
numbers.
quit. That'd be the end of my career.
It's actually combat text. What are you talking
It's
about?
a stupid name. It's wrong. It's not text.
It's referencing what you did in combat.
Well, then you would need text also
what is
includes
the bubble
letters.
numbers referencing?
They're like bubbles.
Because they pop up above you?
Yeah.
What happens if you want them going down? Some combat text you can pick up or down.
Well, that's
Or
stupid.
even side, left or right. Zoom by.
Yeah. Then it can't be a bubble number, can it?
No.
Well, they're only
This is a
numbers.
Zoomy number.
There's no letters, so it's got to be numbers. Combat numbers then. No, bubble numbers. Sounds way better.
That's the worst.
But BK, you said you would or wouldn't like it. You think it'd be dumb.
I mean, I like having that feedback. I mean, it's in almost every other game that I play.
Right.
So that's like pretty natural for me to like look for those sorts of clues. But I've learned, over time with not having it in PoE. That's what like PoB is for, right? Like you copy an item that you're thinking about buying from the trade site into your PoB. You see if your damage goes up or down, and or you craft something and you go, oh man, this looks good. You throw it into PoB to make sure. But I don't know. The combat text usually affords you the ability to kind of see those differences and changes in your damage in real time. But then it also shows you like the hits that you're taking too, which is kind of nice as a gauge. Like if you're taking an average of like 2,500 damage hit and like T13 maps, then with certain modifiers, you can kind of like sort of maybe anticipate some of the damage you'll be taking in general.
Yeah. And it'd show in like blue or white or red for the elemental damage.
It's way too cluttered, yeah. So
Yeah.
what?
Wonder if PoE 2 will have the... I hope it's not as cluttered. I mean, I'm sure everybody hopes that it's still just as difficult and rewarding, but you can actually tell what's going on. I wonder if it'll be that cluttered that it wouldn't ever be able to be an option. Because I guess now the conversation gets thrown out, not because it's a good or a poor feature, but just because it would be completely pointless at the state of the game. Bubble numbers, folks. That's it. Bubble numbers. Timestamp that right there.
I'm dying inside.
Delete it.
All right. Seriously, bingo for the... I hate you.
I'm fine with that.
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
It's nice to
Doing
see you. Good.
Nice to see you too.
It is nice to have you. Thanks again for coming on. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Oh, thanks
It's tons of
for inviting me back. I enjoy these a lot.
I'm glad. That's awesome. I'm wondering what Jocelyn's going to put in. He's going to like segue this and like cut this into different parts of the show so we sound all weird.
Yeah.
You always got to be careful. I think I made a funny sound just to bug him at the very beginning, and he's probably going to throw that in at the very end. You know, where he makes all the
More
gross
than
sounds.
likely.
He's
Yeah.
kind of a dick. Also hate him. Do you think, like, you know how we're basically, as a community, and I think it's cool that we're testing a bunch of stuff for PoE 2, right?
Yep.
Different ideas, concepts, and they're seeing not just reaction, but how farmable certain things are and abuse of the community, or how the community can abuse certain aspects of different ideas that they have. And obviously, we're not getting like the full-fledged ideas. We're just, you know, they have other ideas that are going to tie into these things. But do you see us testing anything else that they really want the community to get their hands on beforehand?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, almost every single expansion, I would say, since Delve has been in some route or fashion a test. I think the most obvious one was probably Blight, when they're like, all right, we're going to have a mechanic that spawns tons of monsters, and we're going to make the meta poison, which does a lot of calculations, and minions, which does a lot of calculations. So we're going to push these two as the meta within, you know, an environmental league mechanic that spawns even more monsters than are normally on a map, depending on like how much juice you factor in.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just gonna kill our engine a lot and learn how it breaks and figure out all the ways that, you know, these calculations need to be trimmed up and streamlined and made better and all this other. Like, Blight was an engine test through and through. Like, that is all it was. It was like
Good
a
call.
cool little story, but like that is absolutely what we were doing. And yeah, I mean, like, a lot of these mechanics that are coming in are neat, but like almost every single one has had like a secondary purpose and like what sort of information it provides. GGG.
Any guesses to what they were looking for with Ultimatum? I thought the pausing thing was neat, and I thought that maybe maybe it seems minor, but they were looking for feedback to see if the community was fine pausing an action-packed game.
My tinfoil hat theory about what Ultimatum was testing is a couple of different things. I think they were testing what type of like environmental factors that people are willing to put up with. So like, which of those affixes were people choosing the most? Like, were people choosing like the mana cost or the hindered ground? And because it was so easy to get hinder immunity with a corrupted jewel, was like most people going for that route because it was like an easy pass. Or like they were determining, you know, definitely like what dangers will players push themselves into for what types of rewards, I think is what they'll learn a lot about. And then by knowing, you know, what type of rewards people are taking the more dangerous stuff for, maybe they can correlate that data out to sort of like the algorithms that they'll be using for like loot generation in the future.
Yeah.
And then I also think it was a performance thing too, because you had like a really strong clustering of enemies with tons of projectile skills, and they could sometimes even be affected by your auras. So those were some extra calculations and all this other kind of stuff. So I think it was like part performance and then also part like research, I guess, for lack of better terms.
Sure. It definitely performed for me. Ritual, I couldn't play on PC. Well, honestly, console either, but I had the Xbox One, not the Series X at the time, and it was unplayable. I really couldn't do it, and so this I still have the same PC, and this performed way better. Very similar in terms of what I would expect. You know, like hordes of monsters coming, lots happening on the ground, totem thingies in the middle doing stuff. So it performed way better. So if there was anything that they got from Ritual, they definitely applied it here, and so that was kind of neat for sure. Just we were talking about what if there was anything else to test, or like any thoughts of things that we had to test before PoE 2 comes out.
I would imagine there probably is. I can't even guess as to what, but given that there's, I don't know. I mean, I guess you kind of get a gauge on that when a new league gets announced, once we see what the content or the theme is of it. But I would imagine everything leading up is still them testing something.
The only time I think it's been the other way around, where the league wasn't created to then test out either different parts of the game or like as a segue into development into things that they are making for PoE 2, is Heist. I think Heist was the first one that was the other way around. I think they pulled assets from PoE 2, like the patterns and all that other kind of stuff, like the way the mercenary, or not the mercenaries, but the packs of monsters would like patrol.
Yep.
And there's all these Marikath assets and Marikath story backgrounds and all this other kind of stuff in Heist, which like made no sense at all thematically because like aside from Act 4, we knew like fuck all about Marikath culture. And it was so weird to get an entire league dedicated to a particular type of culture rather than just like telling a story of like the Blight showing up or Nico being like, yo, that hole down there has really good drugs in it. Let's go. I mean, there's like, we've never had so much history and culture being put into like a PoE league before. So like my tinfoil like hat theory about Heist was created out of PoE 2 assets in order to scrape together a league versus having assets created to then test to then be implemented over in PoE 2. Because like they pulled everything together and tried to like sell a really dumb story that wasn't even finished out of these assets that they just sort of like grabbed all willy-nilly from Act 2 and PoE and like forced this story that wasn't cohesive at all.
For me, the Heist was, I wouldn't, because I don't know any of the lore stuff, what you just said there was literally the first time I'm going, oh, Marikath, okay. Cool. I literally just played Heist. I was like, okay, cool, let's go steal some stuff.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have even crossed my mind that it was out of place or didn't make sense. I never read the stuff the characters were saying. I was just, let's go.
Yeah, they left a lot of like the ending stuff. Like there was supposed to be some contracts that like kind of concluded large parts of the story that were left out because they just didn't get developed in time.
Mm-hmm. I do remember that. I remember like some of the contracts weren't out right away and some of the stuff wasn't available.
Bosses were added 3 weeks in. Yeah. I liked that they added interesting content. I don't know if that was something they were going to do no matter what the feedback was, but having alternate quality types was really neat. And I think that was, I could be completely wrong, but one of the times where you could see your items and choose between them. You know, it was displayed, like we got that, we're used to it now because we have it in Ultimatum and we had it in Ritual, but can any of you think of a time before Heist where you could see your item and choose between it? Read all the mods, see the sockets. I have a horrible memory, so maybe it's the 30th time, but that's the first time I remember being able to. So maybe that was seeing, you know, interaction of how that was, if that would ruin the game at all.
Well, it's their first implementation of like the Loot 2.0 system where they're testing like what sort of algorithms need to be associated with rare items to make them more compelling for players to pick up.
Yeah.
With a tendency towards higher tiers or like better resistances or however they decide to figure these algorithms.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's there's definitely, and you mentioned like the pacing packs and packs actually doing something instead of standing still until.
Well, I also think it's the whole reason why they gave up so quickly on the mechanic being what it was too, because they pulled these assets in and had like these patrols and they're like, okay, how do we make a league out of this? It'd be like, oh, it'd be really cool if you had to sneak around, like break in through these patrols and blah, 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 blah. And then like when the mechanic didn't work out, they just scrapped the entire thing because it wasn't developed. Like Heist as itself was not like developed to be Heist. It was them trying to make Heist out of stuff that already existed. So like when they're like, oh, the sneak factor doesn't work, they just canned it. They didn't even try to fix it or make it match their vision or find some sort of like balance pass on it. They did really change the
league, that's for sure.
They just dumpstered it because they're not going to go back and take the time to rewrite source code for something that already exists in PoE 2 that doesn't need to be changed from, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably entirely like off of my fucking rocker about that one, but
yeah, but you prefaced it with your tin hat theory, so you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm hoping secretly, but this might just be a personal passion of mine, that we still have filter stuff to test, like filter options or different things. I'm really hoping that something comes in filter-wise before PoE 2. There's no way they keep it the same way. No way.
I think there's a chance.
No way. I think you introduce something ahead of time and see if it works. Because you go in with the exact same filter system that you currently have, and it's going to suck, no matter what you put out.
You might be right, but I think it's going to suck to way less people than you think.
Filters, yeah. It's like saying like they're going to come out with an in-game like POV.
I don't know. Like you care about item weight, but you only have a default filter. No one's going to have a filter ready for this game. They're changing tons of different base types and skills and a whole bunch of other stuff. If that kind of stuff is going to be native to the PoE 2 release, you can't have 1 million people on the default filter. That's going to suck fast. And it's going to ruin the whole experience. I mean, sure, someone like Neversink might come out pretty quick with one, but is that something you want to rely on when you have put so much into the actual release of PoE 2? I don't think so. But that's just my little tidbit. I hope that's something that we get to have feedback on before the release comes out.
I like the idea of obviously of the loot filter style like last Epoch. I just don't think you're going to see it in PoE.
I just think that the priorities are going to be towards other things than like that, and improving tooltip and everything like that. It'd be nice. Like I wholeheartedly agree with you that them coming out with something would be wonderful. But this is something that they've been able to happily regulate to other folks taking care of it, and we've seen, even though they hired up OpenRL that did the POB stuff originally, like there's an entire team of people willing and passionate enough to take up the cause of continuing the work around POB.
Yeah.
Like these are at this point in time expected resources. So
sure. I don't think it's something you can risk at launch. I really don't.
Well, I mean, they released the JSONs and stuff like that early, but who knows if that's enough.
Is there anything either of you hope is getting fixed for this league or changed, modified for this league that you really hope doesn't last too much longer? Is there anything that's nagging at you?
I'm really hoping that they shift around the Atlas passives some more. Like the regions, like some of the nodes changed as they like put ritual in the game, and some of them were too powerful and they split them up and moved them around. But I don't want Haywork Hamlet to be like the harvest area. Like I want all of that to change up.
I think it's a wise idea.
And I'm really hoping that this mechanic is not just some like map-based bullshit. I really, really, really need this league to be like a mapping adjacent sort of thing like Delve and Heist and Synthesis was, because I'm so bored of this endgame right now. I'm not even going to go for 32 stones this time. I'm going to get my 20 and then just use Maven stones to fill in the rest of it, because I just can't be asked to do the grind again. I just can't.
Which part of the grind is it that drives you nuts? Not the Maven,
I just think it's
like?
too long. I like Maven's new stuff. Like that's still like new enough that it's still fun to go through. It's the Conquerors that's really driving me bonkers right now. I've never enjoyed them from begin with, so now there's been however many leagues with them in the game going for 32 stones over and over and over and over again. It's just so tedious and boring.
I absolutely hate that you don't get to deal with the Conquerors and Cyrus for so long into maps. It just boggles my mind that they're fine with that. Back when you were Shaper and even when Elder came in, as soon as you hit the middle of that Atlas, you were starting to experience it.
Yeah.
And I can't stand how many maps you have to run and how much you have to do before you even start to see them. And then you see them and it's like, hey, Cyrus is not coming for a while.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy.
I think overall the structuring of having these like small little goals that lead up to like the bigger goal of having the Atlas like unlocked, we'll put in air quotes, meaning like in state ready. I think the progression of the different stones is like good, because it sort of creates that cookie crumb trail through the end game that allows people to, especially that play more casually, to like sit down, knock out a watchstone, feel really good. The problem is that like I don't think it needs to go to 32. I think it like should stop at 20, because like once you get to like that first Cyrus encounter, like that should be it. There shouldn't be all of those extra stones to go for, 4 more regions worth of stones to go for.
It's a lot of micromanagement when you're technically doing the same thing. There could be other ways to increase the difficulty than the grind.
And I mean, and we've seen like the sort of process get drawn out a couple of different times. Like, so previous to this iteration, there was the Elder Shaper stuff where you had to like move the Elder influence around and spawn a white tier Elder, then move it around in yellow maps and spawn a yellow tier Elder, and then move it around in red maps and spawn a red tier Elder. And then you got to knock him into the center and actually spawn the Uber Elder encounter. So like we've had this sort of like progression state progression pathway, to like the end game before, but it's never been quite this tedious. And I think there's stuff that they've done right with Echoes of the Atlas, but there's still like, I just think the pacing is all wrong. Like I enjoy a segmented end game with like small goals to get through it. And I like the non-deterministic stuff, because the most frustrating part about like Elder Shaper influence was like just getting to having like the 15 or 20 maps or whatever it was under the influence of Elder, and then Shaper takes like this one fucking map and it cuts off like 20, like 5 or 6 maps or something like that. Was frustrating. And at least like these aren't that, like no one takes your watchstones back from you, you don't lose that progress.
It's one thing I do really like about this one. I do prefer the old system as well, and the practice of fighting the boss. as you go through, and it wasn't overly difficult to get back again. But one thing I do love about this setup is you don't have that fluctuation of regions. It's a setup region, certain maps in a certain region. You get more. It's a lot easier to know how to progress in this one. Sure, like we don't like how the bossing works and how to unlock the bosses, etc. But I do really like how easy it is. Like I can picture my buddy Chris, who we're in Act 4, but if he ever gets to endgame, this is way easier to explain to a new person. You have 8 regions, watchstones. Like that's a very simple mechanic to explain to someone the very first time you're there. Whereas as a new person, it took me quite a while as a more experienced player to understand the fluctuating regions of Elder and Shaper. So that is one thing this endgame has going for it for sure. One thing that I really... Oh, shoot, where'd it go?
Jesus, that was fast.
Yeah. No, what was the question that I asked? Touch on, you were talking about things. Dang it. It's a good one too.
Things you want to see fixed?
Yeah. Oh, on kill. On kill. There's so much on kill supports or on kill nodes in the game, whether they're from ascendancies or just as notables. And that really doesn't make sense with the boss system that we have right now. Sure, with a lot of bosses that are maps, there's a lot of extra mobs that are kicking around, and you have a good chance of getting an on-kill effect every 4 seconds. Great. But with the Guardians, there's almost no extra mobs. With the Conquerors, only one of them has mobs, and that's Drox, and even Cyrus doesn't have mobs. It's something that has littered. It's all over it's all over your passive tree, and it's all over different nodes or supports. But there's no viable way to actually do the most important fights in the game with that mechanic.
They want you to they want that sort of stuff to be invested into, like rather than clicking 3 nodes to have like 2% of your health recovered on hit or something like that. That would be like insane by comparison. So they want you to like work in life recovery rate and leech and or use enduring cry and have flask effect support and all this other kind of stuff. So they want you to solve those problems in other ways. Or if you want endurance charges on kill or something like that, like you got to figure out a way to generate those, whether it's enduring cry or there's like clustered notables where they can give you like enduring composure, I think is the one. It's on an armor cluster. If you get hit, you gain an endurance charge every second. Mm-hmm. So like they want you to invest and figure out those problems rather than just like click 3 nodes and solve it. So I can understand, because they want to give you safety by mapping so that you can actually have like a lot of that stuff available to you.
True.
But some of these things in combination with each other would just make so many different encounters trivial.
If the numbers are high, sure, but a lot of those numbers, and if they are giving too much per kill, then it really doesn't make sense anyway. But the numbers should be small enough that on kill, it's a very small percentage, like 10% chance on this. And you're getting something that's a short term, like a recently duration of 4 seconds. Whereas I really like what they did with, for example, Herald of Purity or Dominating Blow, where, okay, you get this on kill, but if you're with a rare or unique enemy, you have a 10% chance of getting this just on hit or a certain amount of damage or whatever it would be. And I really like that combo, because then you're not guaranteed at every hit, unless of course you're doing Cyclone, but you're still getting the possibility of that investment, whether it's on kill or whether it's in a solo boss fight. So I don't have to worry about spreading myself crazy thin when I'm fighting, having something that's very boss specific as opposed to something that's clear specific. But I do think it's kind of based on numbers. And I would like to see, in my opinion anyway, the on-kill effects be coupled with, when you're hitting a rare or unique enemy. That's just me. Well, I had nothing else to say. I was expecting you to cut in with crickets or something.
Oh, he's definitely going to make sure, yeah.
We'll get crickets.
Timestamp, that's a request. Crickets at 1:35:58.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
1:36:49 based on this timestamp of the backup. Because I did have it running.
See, he wants me to keep track, even though he's like, oh no, it's only my time.
I don't actually pay attention to that.
Whatever, man. Just time.
Anyway,
just
let's
hit
wrap this up.
The button.
Thank you for joining us, BK.
Thanks for having me.
episode 91, Forever Exile, the Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin, a.k.a. Tagz.
Tyler, Record of Days.
And I'm Brittleknee.
We will catch Patreons in After Dark. Everybody else in episode 92. If you're looking for more information, you can find it down below. Website, foreverexiled.com. Twitter, foreverexiled82. Discord, we have a Discord.
It's great.
And Patreon. Information's down below. We'll have BK's info down there too.
Yeah.
Peace.
This is going to be called timestamps and bubble numbers. It is going to be.
Goddamn bubble numbers.
100%.
No.
Combat text. Stupid.